Boundaries have been a really hot relationship topic for a few years now, but most people are talking about a very outdated type of boundary that actually perpetuates codependency instead of facilitating the development of really healthy, stable relationships. As a divorce coach for men, I've seen this kind of outdated, bad boundary setting actually drive couples to divorce and escalate divorces that could have been relatively amicable into really high conflict situations where everybody loses. So let's talk about what old boundaries were and what real boundaries actually are and what this means in 2025. How do you apply boundaries effectively? First, we've got to look at these old boundaries. Old boundaries are rules for other people to try to control their behavior. They cause frustration, they cause pain, they cause misunderstanding, and mostly they leave you in a lot of frustration, helplessness, hopelessness, and feeling like a victim in your own life. Because when you set a boundary for another person to follow, like they're not to talk to you this way, or they're not to do a certain thing in your presence, when you set a boundary for somebody else, it's perpetuating your own belief that they're responsible for how you feel. Right? It puts you in that victim mentality, in that victim position where you don't have any agency in your life. Real boundaries, the boundaries of 2025, are rules that you set for yourself. And they're rules that you set for yourself with a lot of love for yourself, respect for yourself, and compassion for other people. You hold these kinds of boundaries as a form of self-care out of respect for yourself. On the surface, these boundaries might look really similar, but the outcomes are very, very different. So let me give you an example. You could set a boundary around your ex-wife. So a lot of the men that I work with, their ex-wives are very aggressive, and sometimes they're calling them a lot of terrible things. They're accusing them of horrible things, of being emotionally abusive, of being controlling, of being narcissistic. They're getting angry, they're raising their voice, they're calling them names, they're swearing. So you could set a boundary that says, if my ex-wife swears at me or calls me names, I end the conversation and walk away. Now, this might look like a boundary trying to control your ex-wife, right? You don't want her to swear anymore. If we set this boundary in the old way, that's exactly what it would be. You would be punishing her for her bad behavior by refusing to talk to her. But I want you to just think for a moment, maybe you've even done this. How did it feel? Right? When you do this, when you hold a boundary like this to try to force the other person to change, it very rarely works. And it leaves you feeling anxious and frustrated and out of control. But you can set the same kind of boundary from the new boundary belief, right? Out of respect for yourself, right? So with the new boundary, you would say to yourself, when my ex-wife swears or raises her voice or calls me names, I am going to walk away from that conversation out of respect to myself because I am not willing to subject myself to that kind of language. I choose to remove myself because I love and respect me and because it's good for me. What she chooses to do, whether she chooses to keep yelling and swearing and calling names or not, doesn't matter. This isn't about her and what she does. It's about me and what I want for me. If you can really set and hold a boundary like this, you will be able to walk away feeling calm and loving and peaceful. You're taking ownership of your emotions. You're taking full responsibility for managing what you feel and the kinds of interactions you expose yourself to on a daily basis. The difference is subtle on the surface, but internally it is massive. And over time, setting a boundary in this way will also have an impact on the relationship dynamic with the other person. People pick up on how we feel. You pick up on how she feels, she picks up on how you feel. We communicate our underlying emotional state with so many subtle cues. Everything from the tension we hold in our body to our posture, to the tone of our voice, to the dilation of our pupils tells the other person's system what state we're in. So when you're holding a boundary out of anger and anxiety, trying to force a change in the other person, you're just getting the relationship like more and more twisted and tightly bound together. But when you're holding a boundary out of love for yourself and self-respect and you're calm and you truly don't care whether she changes or not, because this is not about her, it's about you and where you want to be right now. Do you want to be in this conversation with her or do you want to walk away? When you're holding a boundary from that place, all of that subconscious communication is showing that you are calm and peaceful and relaxed. And eventually the other person will feel this. You'll find when you start to hold boundaries in this new way that there are some people who will fall out of your life because you're no longer engaging in these same old patterns with them. And other people will eventually stop trying to push so much because it's not working. They're not getting anything back from you. It's very hard to maintain all of that tension towards somebody who's just not reflecting any of it back. Human nervous systems co-regulate. And when your nervous system is calm and peaceful and you're like, you know what, I love me too much to stay in this conversation, so I'm going to leave and you can do whatever you want. And you do that consistently, eventually that other person is going to be like, this nervous system state doesn't match up with mine. I'm going to go look for someone's that does, or they're going to shift their nervous system state to be more aligned towards yours. So the difference is subtle, right? This is a subtle shift. From the outside looking in, it might look like a very similar kind of boundary. The difference is very much internal, and it's going to have an external reflection as you hold these boundaries. These subtle changes make dramatic differences in the quality of your relationships. Now, you're going to see a lot of pushback, and you might even be feeling a lot of pushback towards me as I'm saying this. 2024 was all about old boundaries. There's so much content out there from 2024 that's all about trying to express and communicate how damaging people's words are and how careful we have to be with one another's feelings. It was like this mass forgetting of how powerful each and every one of us really is and how much choice we have. You are the only one responsible for how you feel, unless you give that up to other people. Boundaries are a tool for you to support yourself in maintaining your own sense of self-governance, of emotional regulation. They are not there to control other people. If you can start operating from boundaries in this way in 2025, it is going to enrich every single relationship in your life. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, come with me into the next video. We are going to talk about rebuilding your life after divorce. I'm going to give you a full guide to how to do that in 2025 because it's a little bit different in 2025 than it was before. I'm also on social media now, you guys. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok. I'm all over the place. So if you're finding my content useful, please go ahead and find me on your favorite social media channel and follow me there. There are social links in the video description below too. All right, guys, I'll see you in rebuilding your life after divorce this next video. Thanks for watching.